No, I thought you all of a sudden done it, he's like, wait, maybe she. Of course I knew, well, I knew it was coming, I felt it's quite a project. Yeah.
Welcome to the regularly scheduled meeting of the Historic Resources Commission of the City of Albany. We certainly welcome those viewing on YouTube. If there are any questions that come up, we ask that the person proposing the question, limit their comments to the items that are under the purview of the Historic Resources Commission, and also limit their comments to 3 minutes of duration. This is a public hearing agenda that we have in attendance this evening. Myself, John Myers, the chair of the commission, Commissioner McAvoy, Commissioner Gary, Commissioner Tobin, Commissioner Kaplan, Commissioner Packer, and representing us from the planning office is Aaron Glennon, the deputy planning director, and Christopher Loma, the historic preservation planner. Our council this evening from the Corporation Council is Jason Thomas.
School is back in session, so all return. How's everybody taking all of their phones and putting them in the bag?
Yes, teacher. I would suggest we get underway with the meeting. The first item on the agenda is 521 Warren Street, which is a subdivision property fronted on 133 South Lake Avenue. It's in the South Lake Avenue Historic District. It's the conversion of a carriage house, a very handsome carriage house, into a residential structure. So, someone would like to speak to the project?
Yes, that's what it is. Right now,
And if you can state your name.
John Conversino, Cavalry Construction.
Okay.
So yeah, we're looking to convert it to a 4-unit. We made a bunch of revisions to try to comply the best we can with the story. Even those are Anderson 100 fibers, which is more approved usually by the historic.
I'm sorry, repeat that sentence.
The windows are going to be Anderson 100 fibers.
And then it's something else.
Those are typically, I've used them before and we've been approved by the historic building, so just assume that they're so those 2 windows that you see on the side there, original plan we had shown as a double on that second floor. We brought it back to just these windows again to comply. Did not change the exterior as much as we could. That one center bottom window to the left there was going to get closed in. It's now going to stay. We shifted the wall inside to make that stay the same as possible. If you look at the front side of the building where the garage doors are, then it's open, but when it's closed, not that it has a lot of trim to it or whatnot, anything fancy, but we're going to fix it there and put the doors into that. Keep that, again, staying as the same as intended. Siding still remain the same color. It's a brand new roof on there. I don't know how that roof is. Other than that, not a lot of changes to the exterior. Even on the back side there, I don't know if we showed the plans up. Yeah, so we're gonna Still keep that door there, still keep that window above, try to get a door on the side that, it is on the back side, not as visible, but there's a little more change there from the right side. Another change we could, you can see right there is that one door going into that, little jut out on the right hand side there. That's gonna be the sprinkler with the new tank. That's pretty much it, just, we're not going too crazy, I don't think we're asking for too much. If you have some other questions, it's actually a pretty solid structure for sitting there as long as it has.
That's remarkably intact.
Yeah.
The detail.
A little bit of trim work on the outside, just a little bit, nothing crazy.
Yeah, most of the.
Yeah. There's a couple of corner blocks on, you can see on that lower side on the back, we'll have to match up, a couple pieces of clapboard here and there that need to get changed out, other than that, it's pretty solid.
You guys had on your plans was the installation of skylights.
Yes, yes. So there's one that's on the back side that isn't visible anyway. There are 4 on the parking lot side. I don't think you can see it, it's on but those 4 on, those are probably the most visible thing and probably the only change that could be easily changed back if ever somebody wanted. So I don't think it's a huge change to a building that's, oh my god, or anything like that, you know what I mean? Down the road, someone want to change it back, they use this shingle back in, all as well.
There's an operable satellite or a balance with it.
I don't know if the problems are closed.
They would want to do that.
Yeah,
Yeah, we want the ventilation.
yeah.
Get ventilation.
Is this a tax credit project as well?
I don't believe they are, no, they're not. No,
It's not a tax credit project.
Okay. And can you zoom in on the existing, east elevation photograph? And also the north elevation?
Photograph?
Yeah, so those are the existing windows?
Yeah. We have like a chicken wire over them right now. Yeah, so you like this.
Has there been any discussion about repair needs and additional stone windows?
No, because they're really not in the best of shape. They're not very optimal from the inside. They're pretty much affixed where they are. I believe some of the panes are also broken and things like that. So I really see justifying, just keeping those there. So, you're losing energy efficiency, they're not functional, they're gonna be problematic down the road.
We haven't really otherwise received a window survey or any details to support that.
No, I mean, they've conveyed through all their plans that, yeah, generally the windows according to them have been fairly deteriorated, and in terms of deterioration beyond repair, that sounds like where they might be at.
I'm sorry?
They might sound like they're deteriorated beyond repair possibly, so.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear.
They might be, based on kind of their assessments and what we've talked about over some phone calls and things, they sound like they may be deteriorated beyond repair, and that,
Have you seen them?
I have not seen that.
Have you seen photos of them?
I'm going through my email, so if we want to continue discussion, I'll.
Okay, and also, do you have a photo of the north elevation? Is that panel, the windows have been shortened on the elevation?
The south elevation? Oh, it should be labeled south.
No, we're doing the exact same size as there.
Trim, but it has a window.
Oh, okay,
Yeah, no,
Okay,
we're
that's right.
changing out like so.
okay.
I did go by the house earlier today, or the carriage house, and did look at the windows. For the most part, they you look originally at our deteriorator, they were designed as a window suitable for a carriage house and not necessarily designed as a window to be operable for residential or any other type of occupancy other than a utility building. So,
In what way are there no chains, or sash boards, or?
I wasn't inside the
Yeah.
building to look. They're a very utilitarian, I mean, they're an original window, but
Yeah.
they're a very utilitarian window. I don't think would necessarily suit the purposes of a residential occupancy. You know, an alternative would be to, remove the sash, retain them on site, for some future use if that is determined to be a necessary alteration to the building at some point in the future.
And what about, if we, kind of concur with that step, what about wood windows, new wood windows? Versus the material that's been proposed, any reason?
Well, the Fibrex is a hybrid wood, polymer window construction. It, as I can, Danny can explain it a little better than I.
Fiberglass. It's fiberglass. It's become acceptable by DPCR or the SHPO standards on some of the projects.
On some projects?
Yeah.
But I assume they're still looking on a case-by-case basis.
As new versus vinyl, they've preferred the Fiberglass window.
Yeah, we use several.
No, I understand, that's not, for my purposes, that's not really a detailed enough answer to
Okay.
say, what's this, I mean, we just spoke to about are these repairable? And it would typically be, then the next set of discussions would be replacement in kind, which would be wood. And then discussions about alternate materials. That would be, it seems to me, the process we would go through.
Yep.
So that was the question that I asked about, was there any reason that we weren't seeing, that we think it appropriate to not, discuss a replacement in wood? Because the 2/2 is such that the larger, it would seem to me that one of the challenges with a wood window with a true divided light or an SBL is the mutton gets kind of large, right? So that's when you get 6/6, it's can be a little awkward.
That's pretty neat.
But this is a pretty good installation, this is the
The
proportions of,
volume is a proportion.
it's already proportionally
Yeah.
there, yeah.
So is the fiberglass, is it colored, is it paintable, like what is the material like?
Pre-finished white.
I think we were gonna do it, yes.
There,
Okay,
I
and
will-
I know paint colors aren't, but I'm just kind of curious what kind
the
of material is
Fibrex
this?
line, as we have met with contractors in the past, or like the company representatives in the past, and have had discussions on site where they've brought the cuts of the windows to the commission. They can be, purchased in a wide variety of colors. And I believe what we were told the one time by, I think, the Anderson representative was that they are paintable. They do hold up, so they are PVC with a wood composite in them. They have,
It has more of a texture than a vinyl window.
correct, but they also do hold up longer than a normal vinyl window, so they don't have the friable material, like the overexposure to UV light and things like that. And they have been approved for tax credit projects, and the Historic Resources Commission has approved them on numerous occasions for window replacements of wood windows.
But on case-by-case basis.
Yes.
Are these windows, I mean, are they, the way Commissioner Myers or Chair Myers is describing them, I'm picturing two sash that are in a frame, do they have ropes, do they have chains, were they weighted, or
No,
was
they're not
this
roped or chained,
just,
they're
okay, like a
typical,
pin
yeah.
window or something?
Or just a
So
pressure,
much so-
pressure
Just a
valve.
pressure valve,
Yeah.
that's helpful to
Again,
understand.
they're just, compared to the woods, they have a better longevity to them, they're more durable, they are still paintable, they're just a better window.
Well, I was talking about the existing windows, or the
Oh.
existing windows.
Oh,
How
I'm
are
sorry, I
those,
thought you
how
were
are
doing-
those held up? Like, I'm assuming they're not weighted windows.
I think some of them were, because the weights are on the ground and that really might get out the building.
Oh, they are, okay.
I think there was some more like that, some of them are actually, I think, fixed windows, or some of them are fixed.
Albany Place.
Okay.
Can we, go back to then the, front elevation drawing, showing the proposed, entranceway?
So originally, we weren't keeping the garage door. We were gonna side that in, put the 2 doors in, but again, to try to just stay with the existing exterior. This was another alternative, was to insert the doors within that.
That works dimensionally as well for
It does,
standard
it actually, I
3-foot
measured, I
doors.
went stopped with her again today and measured it, and it actually works out damn near perfect on the trim work that's in there, so it all looks, equal all the way around.
And do we have a spec on the doors, on the new doors?
2-panel, Therma-Tru. Entry door, 1 3/4 solid core. We can get a cut sheet on that, but that's the Therma-Tru 2-panel,
And are those also paintable?
paintable,
Okay.
yes.
Is there a photo of the east elevation? Existing,
Well, that was with the garage door open.
that wasn't,
I mean, I have one on my company cam that I could show you, it's not something I can throw up on the screen.
great, thank you.
How old do you think that door is? Doesn't look like it's original to the building.
I kind of mentioned that, I was there with the owners the other day and said basically the same thing, I don't believe it's original to it, but the trim kind of goes with it, it's, you know, I mean, it's not like that stands out like a short thumb or anything like that. But it doesn't seem to be original, I feel like the back one probably is a little more original, if you see that, and that definitely looks more, that's what it would have been.
I would think the likely original door was, 2 panels
Yeah,
that
like
pry
that.
apart. Because the blank wall between the door and the windows is wide enough to take a whole door panel behind it.
Well, I guess my concerns with the project are both, windows and, the automatic assumption of replacement, and then not discussion yet of replacement in wood, which especially feels appropriate for a building of this size. That's a wood frame and wood sided and wood trimmed building, so that's number one. And number two, Chris, could you go back to the elevation, the front elevation drawing? The entrance, it doesn't feel like a carriage house. In fact, it reminds me of many conversations we've had about entrances along North Pearl Street and some different options of trying to integrate 3.0 doors or whatever signs with existing panels and et cetera, but it doesn't feel like a carriage house entry at all. And even that one photograph that we see, kind of the rear doors, the rear door, well, that feels like a carriage house door. And I don't know how to translate that here, that's not my role, but this doesn't feel like a carriage house appropriate solution to me. Adding 2 passage doors to an existing non-original, garage door. I don't think it really supports the historic configuration or the utility of this building.
What would you suggest?
Well, let's take a look at that photo of the rear. Unless we had other documentation, that would be, and maybe we could zoom into it, interesting place to start. As Commissioner Myers just spoke to, what we'd expect are two panels of a carriage house. And, there's a design project in there, of course, a design exercise, but that, I know, is a carriage house door treatment. I don't know that, looking at the proposed, front entrance elevation that's proposed.
I think the checkerboard is not original from the front. And on the other hand, the back door with a very wide base on it and verticality of boards that are going vertically split down the middle, it would be certainly in front. It would be interesting to see if that originally had, if those windows are the original windows. And if something like that could be recreated on a different scale because of the wideness of the front door, that you immediately look at it and say, oh yeah, it's a carriage house. And it is the one that we have there where there's a deliberate clash with the clapboard, with a vertical element so that it stands out as a door. It's not horizontal in any way. I wonder if that was designed that way and it was similar in the front. Be interesting to see whether somebody patched through, which is unlikely, to put those windows in, or whether there are original windows there, maybe one got altered one way or another. And you could, if you could recreate something like it, if you found out that that was something that's original and designed. I noticed it has the wide lintel up above the door. And what's unusual, it emphasizes that the door is the wide base on it, which is double or triple what you need. Obviously done it deliberately.
How would, if you could go back to the other elevation, sorry.
It's okay.
So what about if, two options, if those doors, if the entire opening, I feel like I'm back at 52 James Street.
I think
Or,
it's a fire.
if those two were basically equally sized with a center astragal and the entire garage opening was broken up into two large doors in some respects, whether they're full height or they're or something else as a configuration without having panels between the two doors,
Mhm.
so that they would be the same. Is it 9 feet wide? Yeah, so they'd each be about 4.5 feet wide, as openings go. And then from a floor plan standpoint, they would be, you'd be walking into sort of a vestibule of some sort, and then you would go left or right into each apartment, which floor plan wise, I think we could
It
make.
doesn't really change too much.
We
I mean,
could
we're
work.
kind of open. I mean, like I said, originally we had shown it as closing that garage door in, and then in lieu of trying to stay with the existing, we were trying to cut these in. So I don't think myself or the owners are opposed to another approach.
Great.
So that would be you know, that could be worked out in plan. And then with that detailing, I'm not gonna kind of finalize that tonight, but submit something that would be akin to equal size symmetrical units in the opening, whether or not they have some type of transom over it without necessarily a 6-light transom. And if we're in agreement that we wanna create something that looks like a carriage house and forget the door that's there now, in some respects, the overhead door now. So that would create more of the carriage house historic.
We've got the vertical elements again at the west elevation as well, that might be part of the.
The design of the door, right. I mean, whether or not we go with a heavy base, as we like to say, or something akin to that, you know, that's in the details, but from a functional standpoint, I think that would be, you know, you're not walking into the apartment now, you're walking into a vestibule, which will get you into the apartment, which, again, that, we can make that work. And I believe swinging out functionally is going to work better, so that small vestibule, you don't have to walk around the door that you just opened.
That's true.
We could make one of them, they would look identical, but one operable.
I don't think it's necessary for
Right, could be,
to swing.
right.
But there'd be some kind of an element of a split.
Split, right,
True.
And as long as we don't have to
They
keep
open
that,
it up. Yeah.
you know, square motif throughout the opening, and we have a little more flexibility.
Who designed it? The architect that designed the building, front and back.
The original,
Yeah.
I don't have a record of that. Yeah, I'm not sure if it's the one who did 133, or, I mean, it was one site,
Yeah.
we divided it recently, subdivided.
Are there any short photographs of you
I
done
haven't
that?
seen anything, but I could do more
Yeah,
research,
that'd
but
be great.
generally.
How long was it? Yeah.
I don't know, Chris, did you see anything in terms of the age?
A lot of the stuff, a lot of the imagery, it's a very prominent area, but a lot of the imagery is of the home and not of the carriage house. And I think I found that there's a picture of the homes next to it and not the carriage house. This little like zone is kind of left out of a lot of the images. In the PowerPoint, there's one picture from the survey, and that's the best I could find.
I wonder if it's Van Geisling, that he was a specialty on colonial revival. I wonder if there's another example that has an original door somewhere. I remember seeing a presentation on that, as part of Albany, you know, but it was Walter Van Geisling. He may have done other things similar. That was his specialty, colonial revival.
And it's clearly the style of the main house.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think we could easily do something too with like you said, the vertical, with a big base on it and, make it look as original as possible.
Could do what.
Kind of suffice that one aspect of it.
That's, you may not need to have both doors open if you're going into a common vestibule.
Yeah, I don't think it would be really, like I said, we were gonna have a 9-foot opening swinging open, is that really necessary? No, but we keep the one side optical and. And like I said, it was kind of back and forth, and I know the owners aren't really opposed to, because originally it was shown differently. We were gonna get rid of that garage door and clapboard that in and put those doors into it. But then trying to keep that opening and again, knowing that it's not 100% original to the building, but it's there now, so try to just staying with what's there is why we slid those doors into that. Again, I think this new approach is actually an even better look to it, and I don't see a whole lot of change.
The center wide
Other
door,
than being a vestibule now instead of being going right into the apartments.
that center wide door tells you that this was a carriage.
Yeah, absolutely.
And if you go too far away away from that, then it becomes a mismatch.
So. Are we saying we want to see these doors again? So we're saying they should come back with the door?
I would think so.
Is there, and I know obviously we need to come to an agreement on these doors and whatnot. I know they would like to move forward with the project, so I don't know if there's some way to, cause I feel like we can, it doesn't seem like we can, it's too hard for us to come together on this. I'm pretty flexible, I know they are, we can build just about anything in that space. So I would like to see if there's some way to get a contingent upon this, but something so that we can move forward with the building department, start working on the interior, especially the exterior before the weather starts changing, to move forward on it. I'm pretty easy to work with, whatever, I mean, I could build whatever you guys want. It's really not that big of a space, and it's not that serious, I mean, it's not that, difficult to make it whatever we want.
Well, my concerns were the two issues, one were the windows and the other was the treatment of the door. And I think conceptually, the conversation we had will give good direction as that gets designed. The windows, I'm not supportive of the proposed window solution. And Commissioner Myers, I'm very pleased that you went to the site. I value your opinion and relative to the repairability or the appropriateness of the existing 2/2 sash for the proposed residential use. I happen to think there's many ways that we could repair the windows and improve the comfort level. I think that's what we need to do when we're working with historic windows. But taking your thoughts into consideration, I would not be comfortable with the proposed material and instead would like to see wood windows on the project.
It would be helpful for me to understand, is the material a wood composite or is it solely fiberglass?
It's a composite.
So is there wood in the windows?
The way in which Vibrex was explained to us by the contract, or the Anderson representative, is that it is wood, like pieces, parts, chips, whatever, combined with like a UPVC material. So it is wood with UPVC to make a composite material. It's not fiberglass.
Unlike the material that tracks deck.
Correct, yes.
I was gonna say, so
It's
the,
plastic, it may have wood filler as part of
A lot
it,
of
but
wood
it's
fibers, I don't know what
I
the
can-
percentage.
so I have,
Yeah.
I have the percentage.
Right.
So
Okay.
Vibrex is a blend of 40% wood fiber by weight, mostly reclaimed from Anderson manufacturing processes, with 60% thermoplastic polymer by weight,
Yeah.
which is also reclaimed. Lot thermal transfer, yeah.
Renewal
that's-
by Anderson.
Yeah.
What's the 60% made out of?
It is so it's 40% wood fiber, 60% thermoplastic polymer.
Thermoplastic.
You need a sample of that? I thought you would have seen it in previous presentations.
We have,
You have, yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
we have.
Because you can get a sample of it if needed. So if I could, being a 9-foot opening and having a 4.5-foot wide single door, however the operations are, is what the direction you want it to go, a 4.5-foot wide door. That's 9 foot high, approximately.
I wouldn't make that assumption. I think that as a starting point, as you work through it, that appears to be a reasonable place to start, whether there's
We can bring a couple
they're
options
solid
at the
and
next,
they're
yeah.
vertical board and batten, and there's a glazed transom above to bring light in, whether you've got some fixed panels that are, not board and batten, some kind of beadboard, and that's continued on the doors. You can
Well,
do
you
that.
can do a larger molding in the middle. That even though, no, but if that gets larger, You can make this operable side small.
Well, I was looking at the double configuration with the horizontal sliding of those windows, or the double windows, as a motif possibly to work with on the large door. So if you had a 1-foot panel in the middle of some sort, astragal type of panel in the middle, then each door, each leaf would be 3.5 feet, which is more manageable to open.
I think you gotta look at some carriage house doors. Cause that's,
I know that's a little odd. I'm
Yeah,
just
well,
thinking about opening a 4.5-foot wide door.
I think there's
get
other
into the
ways you'll
apartment.
be able to work through it that visually creates a carriage house door.
It may end up being side like panels.
I think even the windows, even the window pattern is unusual.
Yeah.
But it's an original.
Yeah.
Normally you would fill that in. Maybe have wider sash around it or the frame. This was done that by the architect originally.
Okay.
Alright, so it's just really a matter of working through this
Right.
door.
Basically, Now, what's the floor like?
It's like a brick floor in there.
So are you gonna keep it, or are you gonna build something on top of the new floor?
No, we'd be pouring new and running all of our plumbing and yeah, you can't really put an apartment on top of that.
Right.
That would be coming out, do all of our underground plumbing,
And a new
we
slab.
have new sewer and water coming in from the back
Well,
corner.
going back to the door. Right now, you walk straight in, and the door goes all the way down.
Mhm.
But if you're gonna build it up,
I'm not building up, I'm digging
You're gonna
out
be
first.
flush.
oh, you're gonna dig
Do
it
my
out.
excavation, do
Okay.
my concrete, bring the floor back in at basically the same
Okay.
elevation.
So there's
So
no
it's
need,
not gonna change that.
there's no need for a step up.
Nope,
No.
not at all.
Okay. That's
I was confused too, cause I heard a couple of the speaks with kind of wide bands at the base, and I wasn't sure what you were
Well, more just the
talking
trim work
about.
on the doorway.
Yeah, I just wasn't sure
Yeah.
either,
So I would make a motion. Are you ready? No.
You can?
All right. I haven't made a postponement motion. So, I move that we, let's say, postpone, defer. We're deferring a decision, until we see the new door design configuration as described, to better reflect historic carriage doors, and more detail about the existing wood windows, in terms of their condition. You know, an explanation as to exactly why they can't be repaired.
So you're looking for more picturized, because I feel like we've definitely explained why, but if you want more.
Picture wise, and, you know, did you, you know, are the, well, I'm in the motion, so I'm not gonna, but, yes, with more details, you know, is it that the sash, the bottom of the sash rail is completely deteriorated, you have to rebuild it, that kind of thing. So more information about the condition of the windows in terms of picture and condition investigation. That's it, that's
For all of the windows?
for the windows that you're proposing to replace.
Well, that's all.
I mean, we don't need, I don't feel, I'm not, the motion, and I don't feel like I need a window by window survey.
Right.
Commissioner Kaplan may disagree. I would like to understand generally, what are we
The
talking
majority of
about?
windows.
Yeah.
Okay, and we'll tell you.
about every window in the place.
Yes. Just so there's a consistency. But it's, what was the motion?
The motion to defer and waiting on, so that we can see the reconfigured door that reflects a carriage house door configuration and more detail on the condition of the existing wood windows.
I'll second it, and you'll have to help here, and I'd like to request the opportunity to revise the motion.
Aaron can revise the motion, you can ask Aaron.
What do you want me to say?
And then also the possibility So one is the condition of the windows, not just a verbal or just one window, but as you spoke to. But really my focus would be, and that replacement in wood windows be explored and be presented to us in lieu of the Firex.
Okay, and yeah, and
What?
present,
I'll wait till you. I'm not sure how we, from our standpoint, decide, are we gonna ask, like, what's our justification for Fibrex if you want wood? If you want wood, we need to, kind of need to know that you want wood. Why would you want Fibrex instead of wood? That's my question. Sounds like you
well,
want
that's
wood.
not necessarily my motion. I guess I would say if you're suggesting material that has, explain why you chose Fibrex instead of a wood replacement. So if you're not replacing wholly in kind, I'm sure there's a reason, and
Well,
from my
long term,
perspective, I'd like to
The reasoning
understand.
was the longevity and durability of the Fibrex, that's plain and simple, there's not really much more explanation to that. They're just gonna last longer, they're not gonna rot, they're not gonna have issues down the road, they're just have a better longevity. You know what I mean?
That's
Explain that, I don't know, that's,
I think that's our explanation.
Yeah.
It's, you know, whether, we can't use cost or economics, but we can use, you know, long term. I thought, I think we can use cost.
I'd like to speak to that, but I want to speak, I want to make a comment coming in.
And a second.
So,
And it's
no
And
more
second.
commentary from the applicants, and the motion is as it stands with Maryland's modification, correct, Aaron?
yes.
And so you second that motion with your modification
Yes.
attached to it? And then John, take it to a vote, I believe?
Yes. All those in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried.
And I'd just like to add one comment, that the notion of durability and repairability is debatable. And some terms that you've just used, that it's a better window, is not, for example, a statement that I concur with or agree with. But that's just so that you know, I'm not starting at the same place. Discussion of
Oh, I totally agree with that. In my own house, I would have said, yeah, I don't live in a building. But I've seen a couple replacement windows, they're like falling apart.
Right. But
Well,
Danny can
cheap
speak
ones
to
they
you
are,
on
Yeah.
that.
I mean,
Okay.
Danny
they're
can
not
speak to you.
susceptible to rot, and they're not susceptible to insects and things of that nature.
Understood. I can't, it's, well, anyway,
But it's
Danny
not a
can speak to you more
justification.
about that.
Mine won't.
We would be on to the next hearing, and at what point, schedule-wise, Aaron, we need to resubmit?
Oh, I'll give you guys a whole
With Chris.
email.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Next item on our agenda this evening is 179 Elm Street, Center Square, Hudson Park, Historic District. It's the replacement interior comprehensive wall and surface treatment. Care to explain the project?
Hi, I'm Michael Lambert, Lambert Contracting. This is Alan Calhoun, the owner of the property. We originally went to go look at the roof, and he pointed out that the walls were in very bad condition and asked if we could do anything with that. The block that you see there is actually recessed about 3/4 to 1 inch. Some of it's just crumbling, and it's in very bad condition. The roof has been shored on the inside with 2x4 framing to support the roof so that it doesn't fall down. You see the mortar is intact, and the block is recessed about 3/4 of an inch behind it. The block is so bad, it's so old, and it's in very poor condition. So the proposal is to remove and replace between 40 and 50 block, and to fix some cracks that are going all the way down through the wall. To put some 2x4 strips running horizontally on the building, pressure treated 2x4 strips, anchor them onto the wall as purlins, and then run vertical wall panels on there. Not barn siding, not cheap metal roof panels or anything, but these flush or reveal panels that are shown there. They're architectural panels that have been used all around the world. Peterson Aluminum makes them. They are strong, they're beautiful, they have I think a 35-year finish warranty on them. It's gonna save a lot of maintenance. This is the side, the back, and another side, just a little bit around the corner of the building that abuts the back of a property over on Swan Street. The neighbor in the back there said he'd love to see something else on the wall. However, most of that wall's covered with vines and it's just continues to eat at the lime and the mortar and the block and just pulling the walls down. The front of the building is painted brick. We're not gonna touch the front at all. The front facade where you see where the power line attaches there. So the left wall, the block wall on the left will, what you'll see from the facade is you'll see that the block wall on the left is about 3 inches proud of the brick. Because there will be a metal trim that goes on there on the front corner. And then the siding will run right down the side of the building. I was unable to get my resident designer, my son, to do a rendering here at the last meeting to get that done.
Yeah, didn't really get enough information. It's kind of hard for me to understand it in its context and its visibility. So is what's being proposed the proposed treatment on the 3 elevations of the building, but not the,
Not the facade, correct?
but not, and the facade faces
The street.
what direction?
South, well, yes,
To be south. Okay. So this is proposed treatment on the north, I'm sorry?
It faces Elm.
Yeah,
Yeah, and Elm
wasn't
Street,
sure which.
Elm Street runs into Swan Street, so Swan
Yep.
runs.
You can see the buildings right there.
so that's.
Can you show that old photo again?
Those are row houses.
Remember,
The other one,
The other
where you could see the houses along the side elevation. That one, the one on the left is the money shot.
Good.
It's the same thing with the other one. Other side of the building, houses. No one cared about our sidewalks.
Nobody cares about the 4 outbuildings and garages.
Accessory structures.
So, I guess my question is, could you go back to the existing?
Yep.
So the concrete blocks that are crumbling around the mortar, you're going to replace those?
Remove and replace
Remove
40
and
to
replace.
50 of them.
So the ones that are deteriorating will be replaced?
The entire wall is deteriorating. The entire wall needs to be at a minimum parched, skim coating and that, on these old blocks, I don't believe it's gonna last at all. It'll be a coating that goes on there and in 3 years from now, it's gonna look similar to this.
yeah,
I don't think it's an effective repair. So I think-
Parging, I wasn't suggesting parging, I guess my question is, if you're replacing where, what it seems like is you have mortar that was put on that was too hard, and the cement blocks crumbling around it. And I don't know if you had water issues or not, but if you're repairing and replacing the block that's crumbling, and believe that you then have a wall that's stable enough to support the siding, why not just leave the wall and not put the siding on? Cause that's what I'm kind of unclear about, is the justification for adding the siding, why not just leave the cement block wall and, not parge it, but.
I don't believe, like you said, I've seen a lot of where brick would fall because they use a type N or a type M or S mortar on a very soft brick, it's too hard. So it doesn't give, I don't believe that was the condition here. I think the section loss in the block is because it has been left exposed forever and ever, and it's just been deteriorating.
Actually, what it looks like to me, zooming into the photo, but you know it better, is that in fact the water entry from the roof is what has eroded the upper 1, 2, 3, 6, or 7 courses of block
Sure.
And you've got a whole coping detail at the roof, so you've got a new roof going on as well.
Yes.
But if you pad this out, the coping, the roof, the coping or the treatment at the roof has to change as well in order to protect that additional
Right.
X number of inches,
So
right?
the clay coping that's on there, that's on a portion of there, that clay coping would no longer work. We'd have to get a metal cap that goes over the top.
Well, this one makes a carriage house sound like a simple set of discussions, because we've got an early garage that in its own right contributes to character and the scale of the neighborhood. It was concrete block, it was a very utilitarian, maybe the nicest part about it from the photos is that, there is the clay coping, right? And, it's a material we expect to see in the neighborhood, and yet coming with your well-considered, steel panels is, jarringly modern to some degree, right? It's a real change.
It is a change.
It's a
I
real,
think
real,
cement block
character
is jarringly modern.
Yeah, it's not-
It doesn't go with the neighborhood, it
No.
would intrude into.
And on the other side,
Yeah.
we own a little garden that
Yeah.
stays there. On the other side, there are 3 new row houses that, cares, which is I don't know what they do. It's residential,
Yeah.
residential, that's vinyl siding down there.
yeah, new construction.
New
Yeah.
construction. And so we wanted to keep with a similar color, but something that's a better quality than that vinyl siding that's already peeling off of.
These are the buildings he's referring to.
Since you
These are
already
new-
these are
have
new.
this is a horizontal lap siding in the neighborhood, would it make sense to use a hardy board horizontal lap siding as a cover? Rather
Yeah,
than
down the street.
metal?
I think it's a shame it was ever built.
For one, it's kind
These
of
are where the
consistent
wooden
with
houses.
the look in the neighborhood. And also, it's a more familiar material as a lap
So it's
siding
gonna stay this way.
in the context of the neighborhood
So
rather
they're
than
talking
a
about the side.
rather industrial.
Oh, yeah, we must
A very
approve
good
the ones on the
product,
left.
by the way, for the
Yeah.
industrial looking vertical
I don't-
reveal.
I don't care if it looks like the other one,
That is a possibility, that's an
it would
aesthetic
look better.
thing. It would definitely not look as modern as the vertical wall panels, but they're definitely very modern look. The coping,
I remember.
the coping
Yeah, we
sits on
must
top of
approve
a
those.
short little parapet wall, 8-inch wide parapet wall, and the coping is roughly 10 to 11 inches wide, just enough to cap over the top of the block wall. If we did build that out, we're gonna have to run 2x4s on it. If we did build that out, I can build that up by 1.5 inches and also shift the coping to the outside edge, keep the clay coping.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so I can keep that. That's
Nice.
something I
Yeah.
didn't think about. We don't usually
No.
keep it, but I'm not usually working in storage.
Yeah, well, it's,
I remember everything said.
again, it's odd that the project's a little challenging for us too.
But the coping doesn't run all the way down.
Right,
Yeah.
and then there's the same detail on the end too, it's like at the front
In the
section
back
and then on
corner,
the back
yeah.
section. Well, I kinda like cement block, so I might be in the minority here, but,
I don't think that the wall can be saved. It would have to be entirely removed and replaced. We're repairing the cracked areas and protecting the rest from eroding. Partially by removing and replacing the roof, and then by encapsulating the entire wall.
Okay,
How
so-
did you, so where the face of the, what's the, did you say 8-inch block?
I think, I
Something
believe
like
it's
that.
8 inch
It's
block,
8
yeah.
inch block, so of the plus minus 40% replacement, which you spoke to, I think, what dimension is left? When will you, how do you get that
What's the
40%? Yeah,
determination? So roughly the section loss in the block, you see in the top corner up there, the top corner of that building it's deteriorated so bad, it's very deep. There's just gaping holes in there. And a lot of the 40 to 50, 60 block is gonna be changed right in that back corner.
in that back corner.
Yeah, that top back corner up there.
but are you putting block back you're
Yes.
taking it out when you're putting block back.
Yes, yes, so that was the intent, to take the block out, to put the block back. Unless we do the entire wall, take it all down, put new block in, it's still gonna look like the mortar is proud of the block.
Right.
So the thought was to put some framing on there that we can attach new siding onto. The hardy plank is actually, that's not a bad idea.
I think historically, this is a wall that was never meant to be seen by the
Mhm.
public.
Right.
Right,
No, well, that's why I looked at that historic photo, if you look at the historic photo, you can see a little bit of it is there, and you can see it was a cement block wall.
It was never meant to be, the edge of it would show.
Yeah, I mean, my preference is for a cement block wall to look like a cement block wall and to remain a cement block wall. But, I won't fall on my sword about that, you know.
When they built it, if they thought that cement block was that beautiful, they would not have covered over the facade with brick.
Well, but you see the little bit that sticks out, and there's a lot of cement block buildings that are have their own value. So I think there's beauty in the cement block. It's just a different,
There's beauty
Type
in
of-
an intact cement block. And the
Yeah.
brick block are not intact.
right,
And
but
I think you're proposing a selective replacement of the most deteriorated block.
Right.
And then by excluding water penetration into the building, you're saving the remaining of the block. Otherwise, you'd have to tear down and replace the entire wall.
Correct.
alright,
I actually think that the mortar, that was, I can't tell, but I think it might have been laid up with this mortar kind of oozing out of beyond the face, beyond the outermost face.
I know.
I mean, you are correct, that otherwise where you have water coming in and you've got a whole spalling process and you're losing some of the dimensions. But when you look down at kind of the base of the wall and you zoom into it, it's a different kind of there's different stuff going on. So,
Like it was proud instead of being recessed.
yeah, I think so, yeah, it wasn't they're not struck joints, they're just kind of laid up.
The squeeze.
There might have been a building next to it, so they couldn't get to the backhand side
That's
of the
correct,
block.
yeah,
Exactly.
that's
Right
correct.
up there.
In fact, the other building was right next to it. And as far as.
Yeah.
Like
The other
right
building
up,
was
right there,
next to it,
Yeah.
So they probably couldn't strike on joints.
right,
It's true.
so it was laid up from the interior, yeah. So, back to the coping, the south elevation, the front elevation, that coping will stay as part of the new, you have no issue there, right?
Right.
You'll flash up whatever you're gonna do.
Yeah, we'll take it off, run our membrane right up to the back of it and terminate right there and
Yeah.
seal that off.
Okay, and then that front plus minus, I don't know, call it 12 feet before where the coping is now, that we see on the side,
Yeah.
whatever that is. What's possible there relative to the coping?
So instead, like if this is the edge of the wall there now and the coping is sitting on that.
Yeah.
If I'm gonna bring the wall out here a little bit more.
Yeah.
I can put another blocking up here and move the coping up here.
Great.
So
Great.
instead of, there's a 2x8 on top of that 8-inch block wall.
Yep.
I can put another one on there and just shift it up and out, an
Great.
inch and a half.
That would be great.
And then on the roof side, you would come up and over with your membrane, tuck it in underneath. the
Yeah,
building.
there would be that, you'd come up and then I'd have to come up another inch and a half
Yeah.
and then up and
Yeah.
over and then set the coping on top of that.
Yep.
The coping along the front would also have to come up an inch and a half, where there would be a step at the corner,
Understood. Understood.
so.
Yeah, you'll have to finesse those details for waterproofing and put it all on.
Yeah.
Is all the coping there, or is some of it, I mean, it looks like there's a section there where
Yeah, there's a section that's
and lost.
Yeah, that's where they had it set up to be an eave, where the water would just run down the wall. Is it a drain? There's not a drain insert inside that roof, is it?
There's a drain in the center of the roof and then, but not there, the water doesn't flow over top, there's a little bit of a parapet,
Okay.
and so the water doesn't flow over
In
the
the front
edge.
section, the parapet. Cause it looks
No,
like
on
it
the, along the
steps along the
side,
side where
that whole long side.
Where the eve is.
Yeah, but there's no see it looks whiter up there,
Yeah.
that section, that's just like a
Metal
tar,
ribbon.
it's like a,
Yeah.
it's gonna be a metal edge.
But it looks like that front, that southernmost, area, it looks like there's an extra course of masonry from that front. It says, I'm looking at it here, right, it's like, so it would like step down for,
If that was an extra course, or in fact, there's one less course where they put the metal coping on years ago because the top course was removed.
yeah,
Fell
possibly,
apart.
yeah.
If that was not shedding water off of there as an eve, then it probably had coping on there and they just capped it with metal years ago.
Yeah.
Many years ago, when the roof was last up.
What kind of roof you gonna put on?
EPDM or TPO, that's typically what we do, we don't do anything else. We've done a lot of work at this neighborhood, actually. Capitol building, the governor's mansion, Sheridan Avenue steam plant. Historical buildings, under Jim Jameson's watchful eye. Everybody knows Joe.
Not the newbies here, he's
No.
been out
He's been
5,
out.
6 years.
I've been out since 13 out of the state. We've done some work on there afterwards, after I left the state.
Yeah.
Started roofing contracting. Yeah, this is small potatoes with Alan's a good guy.
And so the idea is you'll put hardy on, is that what?
If that's an acceptable alternative, we can do that. And it is-
Well, I appreciate, I like concrete block too, I appreciate what you're saying, I hear what Jack is saying as well, so I'm kind of processing all of that. The siding feels more appropriate to the neighborhood, but it's a bit of a odd installation for it on this garage and with the brick masonry front. But what would you all think about rather than if we kind of take the presentation that we've got serious erosion of the concrete block, we've got structural repairs to do there, et cetera, what about instead of the siding, the horizontal siding of the hardy board, that the larger panels, right, because you can get those in 3x6 or 8.
The metal panels?
No, hardy panels, like the hardy cement board panels.
Oh, the like 6x8, really big one.
I can't remember what size they come in, I mean,
There are varied sizes, I think you can order them in a lot of different, or cut them to a bunch of different sizes.
it would be nice not to have to cut everyone, but anyway,
Yeah.
the point would be, it's a masonry-like material, it's a more homogeneous masonry material, kind of similar to the concrete block, kind of. It feels maybe less like we're trying to make a residential structure out of a garage. And I think there's a lot of choices there, even in terms of the joints and the reveals and how they're connected, but that,
Nichiha makes a really nice fiber cement panel.
who does?
Nichiha? Yeah,
Okay,
fiber cement panel, really nice.
yeah. That made,
Are you talking about panels
yes, like,
and how wide are the panels?
well, that's what we're,
4x4, 8x8?
yes, whatever we kind of collectively think is appropriate for the scale of this building.
Would you then come back and part this?
No. No.
They'd be covered in
Would you paint it? How would
They will
how would it be finished? Would there be,
Just like a hard,
pre-finished.
they're
they're
pre-finished.
pre-finished,
They're pre-primed.
and so,
You can
I was
paint
just trying
it.
to imagine what the joints look like. Like, are they just flush and like couple on
paint
side?
this building, I mean,
That's okay.
No,
No, I'm just trying to understand
Um,
what it looks like.
The last time I detailed it, there was a U-channel, right, there's a U-channel that they're kind of set into, so sometimes there's like a half-inch, gap between the panels. Chris, you look like,
We don't do a lot of hardy siding.
yeah,
No, so it's nice.
okay, let me find that. Anyway, I think there's an alternative there to the lap siding that uses larger size panels. And they have a whole prefabricated system that includes the, tiny elements, if you will.
It just looks like a big panel,
Yeah,
like,
It
it's
does.
a big
almost like a big
Well, it's nicer
concrete
than that.
slab.
It's nicer than that because you've got some scale to
But
it.
it doesn't look like this.
They
No.
can be made to look like that.
No.
So that's a hardy cement panel with 1x2 trim strips put on to simulate a board and batten.
Right. Let's see if I can,
Yeah,
you've seen them a million times.
what I,
Oh, here's a,
And the good ones you don't see. Ooh, they did board
well,
and batten.
that's one, there's some large panels, but that has like a board and batten, but it's not what I was thinking of. There's some that's a little bit, there's not an added batten, but it's still a waterproof solution, but.
Who owns the vacant lot?
We do, I do. Yeah, I've got a garden. I put a fence, I had to have that approved by this committee last year. It's nice though. Oh, you can see it.
that fence,
Yeah.
had to go before HRC?
What?
No, it was a staff review.
Yeah, it was like, you know.
It got a certificate of appropriateness, but did not come to you all.
Yeah, no. I've got a paper.
Okay, they're like kind of U-shaped.
Oh, it's not a vinyl fence. No, I know.
It's
It's
wood.
a wooden fence.
Right? Something like that.
I mean, I'm trying to envision a motion, and are we going to specify a material and a size, and is
No,
where,
I think as opposed to, there's a large format panelized to the wall. You know, obviously for consideration.
If we did it this way, so that's a running bond pattern. If we did it in a running bond pattern, but it would be much larger, say 4 high and whatever the depth would be, 4 courses of running bond pattern right on the side of the wall.
So we're talking about something like
Yeah, like that. Oh, they would look like block, only it'd be very large block.
big.
Very large block.
yeah,
So there's divots in it.
yeah,
Well,
okay,
just-
yeah, I've seen Marilyn's picture.
You've seen it, and they're kind of U-shaped channels, they have a flange to support the next
They
panel.
come in pre-painted, we probably have engineers call somebody else.
Yeah.
So you like the fence because the graffiti people will be on spring painting it. Yeah, it is.
Yeah. Yeah. You didn't part now, all those, you needed panels. Outlets needed panels.
looking up large party.
Oh, yeah, that's, yeah.
I like it.
Good. So, do you like it?
Yeah, I don't know what the price of that is.
Yeah. You like the gold plated ones?
It is gonna be, yeah, it's gonna be cheaper.
I want to
Then
say,
that's
I
sealed in
really
that nice-
don't like the idea at all.
Okay.
And I don't want to be quiet with the assumption that I'm approving. We're fighting over a wall that 80% of it was never meant to be seen, period. And that's why you have the dripping, extra mortar dropping down. It was never meant to be seen at all. It shouldn't even be part of our jurisdiction. However, because of demolition, it's now part of the public view. I would prefer, I mean, when they built this, they made it a nice brick front because they didn't want to have exposed cement block, which is utilitarian. There's not much else you can say other than utilitarian. I prefer covering it, but making it stand out more obvious because now it's more unusual than ever. I would rather blend it as much as possible because the people across the street is residential. And it's built, I believe, in the 1890s and 80s, a few of them from the 70s. And we're going to impose an ultra-modern look. To me, it would be easier to downplay it and to put on some kind of paneling. Doesn't have to match the one that's there now that we approved. It's where the vacant lot is. We could change it in some way. It could even be a different size clapboard. And the rule of thumb was the New England stuff was narrow, the Dutch stuff was wider. Maybe you wanna make it different so it doesn't look like we're trying to mimic what's there. But I think it would be better if that side, and only part of it was ever meant to be exposed. Maybe 14 feet that went back, because I remember those buildings that were there. I would rather take the part and make it look like a residential neighborhood that doesn't clash dramatically by something that isn't any place in the neighborhood. I don't know where it would be other than in an industrial area. I'd rather have some residential quality to the side that all those residents are gonna have to look at.
So I guess in my thinking about these panels is that it will blend in more because you're going to have almost like a solid surface. You're not gonna have the texture of clapboard. And because it is a masonry building, I feel like introducing clapboard isn't really honest to what the building is and was. So to me, I think putting clapboard on would be more jarring and make it kind of more visually odd than having, I think what will be more like a solid, not, what's the word I'm looking for? When something doesn't have a profile of a clapboard, that it will have a more of a single dimensional profile. And will, I think, stand out less than this wall situation, which is pretty bad.
Yeah.
So that's why I like this approach of those panels more than anything else I've heard.
If you had your way, you'd rather have the same wall just totally repaired, which would be cost prohibitive and.
Yeah, in an ideal, and painted or coated so that it all had a uniform appearance, that would be my ideal, but I hear what, and I think this solution of these fiber cement panels, it's more truth to material of integrating with what the building was meant to be, which was utilitarian and not shown,
Most of it was not meant to be seen at all.
exactly.
So,
So I feel like this is,
when,
highlights
I
that.
remember the first use of honest in architects, and it was always somebody who didn't have money to drop the ceiling. So they would leave all of the pipes and they'd say, what are you gonna do with it? It's honest.
Exactly.
I do believe I have the reason for that, that coping not being there in the middle, because there were buildings there.
Yeah.
That was an adjacent wall right there, so there was no coping.
Yeah.
Yep, and that's why it stops right there in the middle.
Be nice if we had a drawing of what it would look like either way.
I'll get a rendering.
Well, I had a hard time figuring out where it was until I saw the picture there, and then I remembered exactly, but on this angle, it's, the picture should be taken that way, looking down from the street instead of from the backyard or someplace else, going toward the street. That's not the way the public would see it. The public would see it from the sidewalk and looking down. And that isn't what that picture is, it's the reverse, so it throws you off a bit. Here it is.
Fence, I'm sorry.
Yeah, here it is.
Yeah.
And it was disorienting to look from left to the left, and then when you finally go to the right, and when I yard, so then I realized what it was, and next to it were all those buildings. And I remember them well, I finally burned them. A rendering would be very helpful.
So it's early September, this is not temperature sensitive work.
Roofing.
Yeah, a little bit, it's not like we're trying to report, yeah. Okay, so is that a kind of good direction?
So are we saying what's it, paneling, The
Cement
hard-
board panel, composite cement board panel,
and to show what that would look like on the wall
you mean in a rendering,
in rendering?
if his son ever comes.
You live through
Yes, if that, again, it's your building and so it needs,
Yeah,
you
and
have to.
I would prefer that over clapboard siding. I feel like that would just be a smooth surface and kind of seamlessly blend and be non-existent, then I don't know, look like the side of a house when it's not really a house.
You'll have some choices depending on the system of the, how the panels meet. They don't typically butt up, but it depends on the manufacturer, but just as that photo I showed, how pronounced or, but there'll be a little bit, at least a little bit of a recess between those panels and, so a little bit of scale there. It won't be absolutely homogeneous or planar, but.
And then staggered, is that what you were thinking?
That was the running bond, just like the brickwork. Yeah,
It's not like
the
the
joints.
the block on the road.
But they'll all be the same color.
Yeah.
Easier to paint when the graffiti artists come back.
Yeah. Well, you see all the mismatched colors, that's from the graffiti patrol going around and spraying.
Mm.
What size are the panels?
Do we need to defer this till they get a little bit more information back, or is it
It could also just, depending on how the commission wants to vote on it, it could be provided to staff to either be reviewed or to have it circulated to the commission. That is an option that we've done in the past.
Are you ready to go?
no.
Not leave today.
No, I'm not ready to start.
You're not ready to start this.
I'm not ready to start this.
So if you came back in October, that wouldn't delay the project?
Would you like donuts?
Oh, wait, we have to bring donuts.
I can do that, I can get a rendering, I'll do a rendering of the panel siding, the metal panel siding we initially looked at, and of the cement panels that we're talking about, and a couple of different varieties, options, a little larger scale, smaller scale,
Well, you can see what,
what
Yeah.
manufacturers
yeah,
they
see
are,
what
what
you like,
sizes they
and
are.
then you said what's available to you and
Yeah.
you think it's a good product.
Sometimes too many things and means a lot of discussion about a lot of choices that we might not.
We don't
want
have
to
I'll bring
have.
2 renderings.
Yeah.
One I know you won't like.
So our next meeting is October 9th.
Correct. Mm-hmm.
Motion.
All right, so I'll move to defer, for, so that the commission can review, an alternate proposed siding material, like a fiber cement panel boards, large panel boards. And we're recommending perhaps present in a running bond pattern, along the sidewall.
Along all the walls.
Well,
Yeah.
but we're only.
Yeah.
Side
or-
path.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, along the wall within our jurisdiction is what we wanna look at.
And motion.
That's my motion.
Second,
Did I make that motion correctly?
Mm-hmm.
Close enough.
Alright. I usually only second motions, cause Lee's not here, so I'm like, no.
Well, did we get a second yet, or?
Yes, we did get a second.
All those in favor of the motion?
I.
Opposed? Aye. The motion is carried.
Do you have a concern that we want to hear?
I think he meant to vote in favor, he was just looking. So we're all done.
Yeah.
Thank you. We'll see you next month. I like your idea.
That doesn't always happen.
I'm not here next week. Sorry, it's okay.
This is,
We're gonna have to move forward.
can I find
The meeting,
I will send all of that. Thank you, that's so, I've never seen those.
Chris, the meeting hasn't been adjourned yet. The meeting hasn't been adjourned. Sit back down.
And we can't leave.
Two things. One is on September 25, Leeds receiving a Lifetime Achievement Award
I heard those.
at First Circle Albany.
How, I remember, how did I not get
So we all have
an
to go.
invitation or any notice?
So that's September 25.
And it's at the Armory, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought that was Bill.
No,
No.
no, the
Oh, I-
Preservation Merit Awards are taking place at the Armory this year
Oh.
on September 25th. Sorry?
Where's the bill?
I don't know where the bill party is.
It's in the
Was it a church?
Baptist church.
Oh, it is, yes.
Which is going to be for sale, because
Right.
it's
On
too
State
much.
Street,
It's right on State Street, just above Swan Street.
Emmanuel Baptist.
Right.
Yeah.
And
It's a gray stone,
Yep.
very attractive building.
Yes, that's right.
Oh, yeah.
But for Lee's ceremony, we show up at the Armory,
And it's at
Correct.
what time?
5:30. But we have to buy tickets? How do we get?
Yes,
what
there
do we
are
do?
tickets. I can circulate the latest,
$15.
If it's at the Armory, you can probably pay at the door.
you can pay at the door, but I think they like to have numbers in advance of the meeting.
I think it's sold out.
No, it's
It ain't
not.
mine, it's
It's
not
not the Armory, it's
Lee's a
Lee's.
popular guy.
Oh, yeah, all right, then will you send?
I will,
will you
I will
send it so we can
circulate
honor
I'll circulate the most recent Historic Albany Foundation, weekly newsletter that has the registration link in it.
Literally, I didn't read it carefully. Sorry.
Oh, there's one that comes tomorrow, too.
I think after my off the cuff remarks, my closing goodbye to him, they asked me if I would speak again with Michael Lynch. It's like, oh no, I can't say I'm in like real public about my 50 years with Lee, but yeah. This gentleman, on his way out, showed me a photo of the Fireworks window, and he said, "It's junk, don't want to do it." And then he left. That's what he just did. He had a section drawing of the whole city. I mean, you can't repair it's the whole thing, you can't repair those windows and they're blah, 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 blah. But he heard the conversation and showed me the Anderson.
our guy right there, with the orange shirt.
Yeah, the meeting hasn't been adjourned. We're still recording. We are still, as I stated, we're not adjourned. So just,
So,
I do,
and then have a conversation?
I do have some information about the tutors,
Oh, yeah.
that I would like to update people about before we do adjourn. So last night, the Holland Avenue Tutor Historic District, did go for its first meeting in front of the, Land Use and Economic Development, Subcommittee of the Common Council. It's probably going to be one of at least probably 2 to 3 meetings at the subcommittee meeting before it gets voted out with recommendation to go before the full Common Council. So Historic Albany Foundation was there with a number of people who spoke in support of the designation. Peacock was there and Nancy Carrie, who is a representative for Peacock Companies, did speak, as well as they had two additional attorneys present. The one attorney who was here during the presentation to the Historic Resources Commission, I can't remember his name. They spoke, Alfredo Ballerin, who is Councilmember Alfredo Ballerin, who is the chair of that subcommittee, invited everyone, Historic Albany Foundation and Peacock, to, as well as Chris and myself as representatives of the planning department, to sit together and have a discussion. And there were questions kind of lobbed back and forth to both sides from the council members. So
Are you saying the four of you were kind of a panel in that at the
More like a
meeting?
more forum,
It was-
more like a forum.
kind of like a forum, just kind of a
But the four of you in
discussion.
the context of the
So
meeting?
it was
Pam.
Kara, Pam, and Sean Morris were the three representatives for Historic Albany Foundation. It was Nancy, Carrie from Peacock, as well as the two
Yep.
attorneys from Peacock. And then myself and Chris. After all the public comment and the two presentations were completed, they invited us to come and sit amongst the common council members who make up that subcommittee to have kind of an open discussion and answer any questions that the common council members had.
Was the public available to listen to that?
Yes, it was all open and it was live streamed and it's available to watch either on Facebook or through the City of Albany Public Meeting YouTube page.
Any impressions of how the discussion, how all was received and?
I mean, it was interesting, kind of, there were some pretty pointed questions from some of the council members about, how long the buildings have been owned, what was their previous use, were they registered as vacant buildings, how long have they been vacant buildings? You know, what is the focus of the Peacock company, you know, that they're not focused on residential real estate, they're focused on commercial real estate. Questions about, you know, what does it mean to be in a historic district? What's that process? How many districts we have?
Limitations, if there are limitations on development of structures within historic districts.
Right.
Future use possibilities.
You know, what are the conditions of the current building? Council member Sergio Adams, who represents the ward in which the tutors are located in, was recently in the buildings about 2 weeks ago with a contractor. They did go through. He made statements that the buildings themselves were actually in very good condition and very stable. That, you know, there were things that needed to be repaired and, you know, things, the bathrooms would need to be updated, you know, the wiring and everything is gone, but that's something that could be, you know, updated and they could be rewired and things like that. Tom Hoey kind of contradicted that a little bit, saying he had been in the buildings 4 weeks ago and that he, in his opinion, thought it would be $500,000+ per building to rehab them.
$750,000 to $850,000.
Yes. And he did not, in his personal opinion, I don't believe he was there with the contractor, but in his personal opinion, didn't feel that they were stable or financially feasible to repair
An
them.
architect or an engineer?
No.
Okay, I didn't think so.
About how many square feet, maybe 2,000 max per building?
I don't know off the top of my head.
Good question.
About how large are the buildings? Yeah, they're not huge, so 1.5
huge.
story, yeah,
So,
okay. Is
so
there anything that we can offer?
I will definitely let you know when the next meeting will be. It'll probably be a few weeks. This meeting got bumped
Yeah.
like 3 times. So, and then we kind of found out last minute that it really was just kind of a information gathering meeting for like the first meeting so that they could have some background before moving forward. So definitely we'll let you know when the next meeting is, and then if there's any additional meetings after that, we'll keep you
Okay, that was
updated
my
on that.
question, was why,
Because
the last time I remember something being locally designated, it was a single committee meeting.
this is the way that, the committee meetings are kind of moving, is that they're multi-meetings. It's just kind of the way that they're being processed moving forward.
And so I have a question. Our official role we've done, which was
Correct.
forwarding nomination. But it sounds like now the conversations are stirring about the condition of the buildings and the viability of rehabilitation and feasibility. And it sounds like you had a few members of the committee who are not contractors and who are not engineers and who are not architects offering their opinions. And we are a body of the city of Albany, and we have on our commission, architects and contractors. I mean, and so would it be possible, feasible, appropriate, whatever, for us to go through the buildings and based on that expertise that we have, rather than a homeowner says, oh my gosh, this is, whatever.
So the offer was made for the common council members. I don't know, to be able to go through the building, I don't know if they would extend that past the common council members.
Okay, it's just a question because at least we have
But,
bias, but we
you know,
also have expertise.
The meetings are open to the public. You can register to sign up for, all the meetings will have public comment. You're more than welcome to register to sign up to comment with your knowledge as preservation professionals.
As members of the HRC?
Would that be okay?
I mean, the HRC already gave its recommendation.
Only about the designation.
Well, and
Yes.
I will say too, right now, the designation is the only thing really that should be up for discussion as it's moving forward. The designation.
You're right.
And not necessarily the reuse of the properties at this time. It is just about getting
Okay.
the designation through this
Council
process.
is a lot more liberty to give their opinions, however ill-informed they may be. Obviously, you guys are the experts, which is why this commission even exists.
Right.
But they can choose to listen or do those recommendations ultimately.
Did it seem like they heard that the common council members who asked questions about jurisdiction, did they seem to hear and understand that we don't have interior jurisdiction,
Yes,
that
yes,
we
yes.
don't have use jurisdiction, that
Correct. We
Okay.
did make them aware of that, and that we are, Councilmember Sergio Adams did kind of finally ask, what does it mean to be in a historic district? How many historic districts do we have? What is that process? And so it was explained that this is just what's visible from the public right of way on the exterior of the building. I did have to make a point of, we don't necessarily prohibit demolition, we do accept applications for the historic property modification waiver for demolition. Also, that the historic resource overlay guidelines and standards are just another type of land use control that applies to the exterior, and what, assisting people with what they can and cannot do with the outside, or what's appropriate to do with the outside of the building. So, we did make them, they did seem to understand that by the end of the meetings.
If we were potentially to get the opportunity to go inside the buildings, I would take permission from Peacock.
Correct.
Yeah, they're not gonna let us in.
Correct.
Yes, you would need
And there's
permission.
no other steps around, right?
Ms. Mockery giving another presentation on the Albany's next month in Albany Hall. I'm sure you can get in there. It's a wonderful presentation she has on it.
Well, I think it's very similar to what she gave to the commission.
Earliest is.
Okay, well, yeah, they just hope they remember that they've got expertise here, or that's offered, or remember opportunity or something.
How many members are on the committee?
There are five.
Five.
So it is,
mean, we're free to comment as members of the public, I guess.
Just throw out that you're a member of the HRC and you do.
But you're speaking, right,
Yes, but I would just keep it.
Keep it as
Not
member
that
of
it
the
be the
public.
end of the world if you didn't, but officially, the commission has to vote to like speak on something as a commission, you know.
Right, yeah.
Ballard, Sandy, Hoey, Adams, who's the other?
Zamer?
I got some.
Oh,
Clark.
hi Clark.
Clark is not running.
Correct, he's in redistrict.
Oh,
I think that's Alfredo's.
No, it's,
The redistrict.
Ginny Farrell's.
Is Alfredo over there?
Yeah.
He's fine.
He is. No, he's my rep. He's not your rep. I think
so
you're
did they
Clark.
eliminate a word, or?
They redrew the boundaries, and so to balance everything out, and part of his went to where he's located, went to Ginny Farrell.
Okay.
I think some of it may have gone to Alfredo, but like it's
Yeah.
all been kind of reworked.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good. So but we didn't lose a common council member, it just means he can't run.
He can't run in his current district that he represents. Correct.
Clearly, I should have taken.
A motion to adjourn.
I'll move to adjourn.
So moved.